This is Brian Schwartz from Ukulele Songbook. In this tutorial, I want to walk you through how we're going to build chord inversions and scales on the ukulele fretboard utilizing the scale, the C scale. So this will become clearer as I get into it. Now I highlighted a couple things here I'm going to talk through. So first of all, this is the C scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, the C major scale. Now the C chord includes notes 1, 3, and 5. So the C chord involves the C, E, and G. So what I'm going to first do is we're going to look at the inversions, all the versions of the C chord on the ukulele, and we're just going to go string by string. So we're going to do the G, the C, and the E. So everywhere you see a G, C, E throughout the fretboard, we're going to highlight these. Right? G, C, E, G, C, E. Okay, so I've noted all of the notes on the fretboard that are part of the C chord that would basically make up the C chord. So first of all, there's the obvious one that you're quite familiar with, I think, right here. Right, you've got your C on the 3rd string on the A string, and then these are all opens. So that's the one that you know quite well. Oh, and I just noticed I missed an E. Let's get that filled. This is the next common C that you'll see, and as a student pointed out, there's a little bit of an easier way to potentially play this if you bar the, one to do it is you basically can bar the 3rd fret here, and then put your 2nd finger on the C string, and then your 3rd finger on the G string. So that would be one way to play this. This is actually the way I play it, though, is I use my 1st finger to bar the C and G, and then I use my 2nd and 3rd. I find that I get better finger pressure on the fretboard. The next version, I'm just going to slide it down here, that you're going to probably play often is this version, and this is definitely where you want to do a bar. What you want to do is bar the 7th fret here, and then take your 2nd finger and put it on the E string, and then take your 3rd finger and put it on the G string. So it would actually look like this. I'm just going to fill these in so you can see where to put your fingers. So this is how you would actually play this chord, because the B and the D aren't going to be heard because you've got the C and the E in front of it. So those are the most common inversions and versions of that you're going to wind up playing on the of the C on the fretboard. So you can identify those using any scale, but for now we're just going to do the C. So let's go ahead and get rid of this so you're not confused, because next we're going to do the scales. So for simplicity's sake, we're going to start with the pentatonic version of the major scale, which a lot of musicians, this is all they ever learn, and this is quite suitable. The 4 and 7 notes in the C scale don't always fall into like the, they just don't sound as clean as 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 do, which is why we omit these in the pentatonic major, or yeah, pentatonic major scale. So, but what I wanted to note is your anchors in the scale are the key that the scale is being played in. So we're going to be playing and drawing the C major scale. So what I want to do is highlight all the C notes first on the fretboard, because these are going to be our anchors, and this will make more sense again as I get into this. So now we're going to go ahead and fill in the rest of the notes in the major pentatonic. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a different color, something that stands out. So we're going to make note of the C, D, E, G, and A on the fretboard. So just starting from the top, I'm going to fill all of these out, starting with the G, the A, and going throughout the whole fretboard. I'll do that. Okay, so I've highlighted all of the notes in the scale, and you'll notice the only whole notes that aren't highlighted are the B and the F throughout the fretboard. Now, if you're playing the full major scale, you would include the B and the F. But for now, we just want to learn the pentatonic scale because we're going to be going through the cages that you're going to want to learn. So, and what's important to note is the root note here is the C, right? So the way I remember where to play a scale is in relations to where I'm playing the chord. So the first cage that I'm drawn to is when I'm playing the C, is I will play this cage, which is the second cage, because I know that when I play the C, this is where the rest of my fingers will be going to play the melody or the scale within that. And then from here, all the other cages follow suit. And if you remember what we talked about, was that where a cage begins is where you've got a finger on the G string. So a cage will begin here, a cage will begin here, it will begin here, it will begin here, and it will begin here. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cages. That's pretty typical. And now I'm going to draw those out so you can see them. Again, these are all open notes. You can place your finger on the other side of the nut. That's really helpful, but it's always going to be 4 frets. That's the size of a cage. So that's your first cage. This is your second cage. This is your third cage. This is your fourth cage. And this is your fifth cage. And you'll see as we start to learn other scales that this pattern never changes. The only thing that changes is the root note, and then all of these would shift up. So to try to explain that a little bit now, if I were to take all of these and shift them, like if I wanted to play a scale in the key of D. So, okay, so this is the C major scale. Now this is pretty cool. So I'm going to take the same cage pattern here. I didn't change anything. This is this exact same cage pattern. It shows all the root notes. This is the major pentatonic cage pattern. Now I'm going to overlay this onto the ukulele fretboard. And what you can see here is these are all the notes in the C major pentatonic. Now, if I wanted to play the D major pentatonic, all I have to do is move this pattern down to the D notes. That's the key note for the song. The song is in the key of D, so it's in the key of D, which is why this is your root note in the scale. If I wanted to play this in the key of A, I would pull this down here. So now I've got all the notes as far as this pattern goes. Ignore 10 through 12, but this gives me the notes now that I'm playing in the A minor pentatonic. That's why knowing these cage patterns is so helpful. And here is another representation of what the cage patterns look like individually. So there's cage 1. Here's cage 2. Again, just individually looking at 4 frets at a time. Now they do have to sequentially follow this order. There's cage 2, there's cage 3, there's cage 4, and there's cage 5. So hopefully this clarified what I taught you, and we can progress further from here. If not, you can ask me questions next time we see each other. Thanks.